Okay, so we are starting now. And I shall pronounce your name as Jeannie, right?
Gene.
Jean. Okay.
Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Jean Burke.
Yeah. Gene Burke.
Jean Burke. Okay. Great.
Great. Thank you.
Lovely. Yeah. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'm your host Avik, and today we have a truly extraordinary guest joining us. So, whether you are tuning in on your morning commute, or during your workout, or maybe just enjoying a moment of quiet at home, then this episode is going to spark some inspiration, challenge your mindset, and might even get you to think about wellness in a whole new way. So let's give a warm welcome to Jean Burke. So welcome to the show, Jean.
Thank you. Great honor to be here.
Lovely, lovely. So, Jean, before we start our conversation, I'll quickly love to introduce you to all of our listeners. Dear listeners, Jean is just a seasoned operations leader with over 30 years of experience, but he is also a martial artist with more than 2 decades of dedication, earning a third dan black belt. So his passion for discipline, resilience, and the personal growth has fueled his journey as an author of three insightful books: The Iron Road, Striking Success, and his latest, The Dojo of the Mind. Yeah. So his work beautifully bridges the gap between the physical and the mental aspects of wellness. And today we are diving deep into how martial arts and physical activity as a whole can profoundly impact our mental health. So buckle up because this conversation is going to be equal parts thought provoking and empowering. So, welcome to the show, Jean.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Lovely, lovely. So, Jin, you have had such a fascinating journey, and like from overcoming childhood challenges to mastering the martial arts and inspiring countless people through your books. How are you feeling about today's conversation?
Well, it's a great honor to be here, and I really do appreciate the opportunity, to
Uh-huh.
be able to speak about the books and kind of the content on it, and hopefully it could help some folks in their journey. Everyone has different challenges in life, and it's just the combination of the concepts behind both leadership and also with the martial arts, how it can help with mental wellness and things like that is, I think it's critical today. So many people are having,
Mm.
especially after COVID, so many people are sometimes in a dark place, and sometimes,
Yeah.
you need a little bit of guidance or help or just suggestions, really.
Mm. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And I have to say that that's wonderful. I think that you have written in the Dojo of the Mind that resonates deeply in today's fast-paced world where mental wellness is so critical. So, yeah. And like as I was mentioning, your book, The Dojo of the Mind, it explores the connection between martial arts and the mental health. So, if you can share what inspired you to write this, how martial art personally helped you achieve mental clarity and the emotional balance.
Yeah, great question. So, for me personally,
Mhm.
we all go through challenges in life,
Yeah.
um, and not just for me, but also I saw those folks around me when I was in we
Mhm.
call it the dojo school, the karate school.
Yeah.
How being able to kind of get out of yourself a little bit, right, through physical
Mhm.
activity.
Yeah.
One of the great things about martial arts is, and really all physical activity, any type of exercise, it could be a wide variety of different paths
Mm.
you take, but when you focus outside of yourself and you have to
Yeah.
be in the moment, so you
Mhm.
actually have to be mindful about what's going on, and you have to be turning your attention outside of yourself into
Mhm.
something that, one, it could be a goal for that particular class, right? Your
Yeah.
instructor may be directing you to learn new things, and obviously they will in every
Mhm.
class. But sometimes it's more challenging than others, and sometimes the workouts are very, very hard. So you can't be
Mhm.
thinking about, if you're doing, dozens and dozens of push-ups, and you're doing and you're sparring with people or whatever it might be, or working through kata. you
Yeah.
really don't have the opportunity to be thinking about your outside world at the moment. So I
Mm.
found for myself, I could be often for me, I went to the morning classes just because of my work schedule. And
Yeah.
I could tell you, I could have had a very stressful day the day before, and I could wake up in the morning and be thinking about, oh my gosh, here we go again. And then I
Mm.
would go to class, and you're surrounded by people with a like mindset,
Mm.
and you're taken out of yourself. And I found
Yeah.
that so refreshing for me. And then I would leave that class feeling invigorated, and then my day. So when I went to work later that day, my day
Mm.
was already in a better mindset, and I think that's
Yeah.
helpful for a lot of people.
Wow, great. And I mean, so here the thing is like, how do you think that martial arts principles like discipline, mindfulness can translate into everyday life for someone who's never stepped foot in a dojo?
Oh, absolutely. So, one of that's another great question. So,
Mhm.
one of the things that's wonderful about the martial arts in particular
Yeah,
is because discipline is kind of the foundation for most martial arts, right?
true.
So, discipline and respect. So,
Mm.
respecting not only yourself, and you should respect yourself. Of course, everyone
Mm.
should respect themselves, but respect yourself that you're giving an effort, just even to show up that day,
Mm.
and then the ability to kind of again the discipline and the respect. You have to have discipline to be able to really kind of force yourself. And now, times like kind of a harsh word, but sometimes you don't want to do it. You could be in
Mm.
class, and you might be asked to do something that you think is very, very hard, but
Yeah.
because of the environment you're in, you really, it's not really forced, I wouldn't say, but
Mm.
you're more prone to really give it your best effort. One, because you're trying to work on yourself, and you
Mm.
also don't want to let down your community around you. So it translates really well into life because
Mhm.
wherever no one lives in a bubble.
True.
Everyone has people around them, whether it's in your family, at work, your friends.
Mm.
And when people really understand that you are disciplined, like they begin to see a
Mm.
pattern in you, that you're disciplined, that you're focused, that you respect both yourself, again, very important, and them,
Mm.
that can really elevate you both, personally, internally, because you feel better about yourself, but also
Mm.
socially. And socially, that could be, and also at work. So socially, it could be, outside of work. If you're at
Yeah.
work and your manager or your direct boss or whoever it is sees that kind of change in you,
Mm.
that can help you elevate you in your career.
Okay. Yeah, great. And also, so here definitely I have to mention that it's like the dojo isn't just a physical space, but it's a mental state that
Absolutely.
uh, one can carry with, I mean,
That,
with themselves wherever they go. Yeah.
that's a really great point. It really is
Yeah.
a state of mind. That's a great
Mm.
way to phrase it.
Yeah. Yeah. So also like there will be challenges in our life. So and you have mentioned that before that your own journey involved overcoming bullying and childhood struggles. So how did physical activity, particularly martial arts, play a role in helping you build the resilience and confidence during those tough times?
Yeah. So when I was younger,
Mm.
and everyone
Yeah,
experiences bullying
true.
to some point. Um, but I was physically very, very small. I had some skin issues when I was
Mm.
younger, and it really affected me because it was often on unrelenting
Mm.
bullying when I was at school, and I really
Yeah.
didn't, because of my background. I
Mm.
had great parents, but my folks were divorced, so I didn't really have anyone to go
Oh.
back and talk to about it, because I couldn't go talk to my
Mm.
mom about it, really. And then my dad wasn't around. He would have been a great resource, but he just simply wasn't around. So I found that through, actually, before martial arts, I began to weightlift, and
Oh.
that really began the process of respecting myself, putting a challenge
Mhm.
before myself. And the funny thing was, when I was younger, by
Mm.
the time I finished high school, um,
Okay.
everyone, just because I lifted so much, I got very strong, and I had a growth spurt and things like that. I began to grow.
Mhm.
I learned through body, and really it was weightlifting,
Mm.
bodybuilding, and some other things. But I
Yeah.
learned that when I did that, again, just like the martial arts, and then that later I went into the martial arts, just like the martial arts, when I was weightlifting, I was thinking
Mhm.
about weightlifting. I wasn't
Oh,
thinking about being bullied, especially when I first began. After a while, the bullying, the bullying stopped when I was in high school. I can tell you
okay.
that. I can tell you that. But
Uh-huh.
again, it gave me a feeling of self worth. It gave
Mhm.
me an avenue to get rid of pent up energy. It helped with anxiety because, again, I was burning off that anxiety through lifting and then through the martial arts and things like that. So that's why I think
Mhm.
it's so important that people, connect to the mind body connection. The mind and the body are connected, and sometimes I
Yeah.
think, especially in Western culture, we seem to kind of separate that a little bit. But
Mhm.
what goes on in the body absolutely affects the mind, and then vice versa. If
Exactly.
if you're really anxious all the time, people can get
Mhm.
ulcers and other things like that. And but physically, absolutely. When you are physically active and you feel and
Mhm.
you're physically in shape, and I hate to use that word, but even if you're not in shape, but you're working towards getting in shape, that
Yeah.
absolutely impacts your mental state. I think
Mhm.
it's very important. I really do, especially in today's world. I mean, so many people are depressed today just because there's so much negativity in the news.
Mhm.
Everywhere we turn, in the world that's positive and negative, we have the internet. So there's a
Mhm.
world of information at everyone's fingertips. And unfortunately, there's a lot of negativity out there. And I think, by doing things like the martial arts or, weightlifting or
Mhm.
whatever sport or activity it could be gardening, it could be anything,
True.
just to get outside of that and, have a positive mindset. And I don't mean searching for a positive mindset,
Mhm.
but I think it helps develop a positive mindset because you just feel better about yourself.
Yeah. Exactly. And so in striking success, you have, I mean, explored like how martial arts principles apply to the leadership. And so what's the one lesson from martial arts that you think every aspiring leader should adopt?
Well, another great question there. So, when you condense it down, I think, from the martial arts specifically,
Yeah.
comes down to, for a leader,
Mhm.
discipline,
Ah.
and flexibility. So you can flex to the situation because different things can happen in business and you have to turn on a dime.
True.
You might have to change your path, and perseverance.
Yeah.
Sometimes in business and in leadership, leadership can be very difficult. I mean, it's a lot of pressure. It
Mhm.
can be a lot of pressure, but by really hunkering down and persevering and don't giving up
Mhm.
when it gets difficult and things like that, and using flexibility and using that discipline as a kind of base for
Mhm.
how you deal with leadership, everything else kind of falls into place. And also with that,
Mhm.
when people see that, when both your peers and folks who are reporting to you see that you're steady, you have great discipline,
Mhm.
you look out for them. That's very, very important in the martial arts. It's not just about you, it's about the community that you're in, and in work
Mhm.
and in business. You're in a community for the most
True.
part, unless you're a single owner of a business and there's no one else in the
Mhm.
company. So, I think when people see that, they become comfortable around you and they begin to
Yeah.
know that you have them in their best interests, and that, you're striving to do your best. And that motivates people to do their best, I believe.
Exactly. Very true. Yeah. And like, how can someone practice this lesson in a corporate or maybe the professional setting where challenges and egos often clash?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Everybody has an ego. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, and unfortunately, sometimes in business, um, that
Mm.
could be painfully evident. How to
Yeah.
practice this really is, I mean, literally, and it's kind of an old school way, but like when I look at what I do every day, so I'm kind of old school. I
Mm.
literally, believe it or not, I have a list every day that I do, and I write down everything that I'm going to do
Mm.
that day. So one that focuses my mind on what I need to accomplish, and there's no, when I meet with people, what's critical, I think, for a leader. this is my personal opinion for a leader. Obviously, the
Mm,
responsibility of the success actually ultimately falls on you, on whether or not your particular department is doing well,
mm,
or on a larger scale, if your company is doing well. But I think it's really important that sometimes, sometimes leaders can get, because of their position, a lot of self-worth, which is great. But when that translates into treating your people poorly, or thinking that it's my way
mm,
or the highway, and
yeah.
listen, I think it's very important to have open discussions. I could tell you
Mm,
where with my group, I work now as an operations manager full time, and I could tell you that
mm,
I have meetings with my team all the time, and we have an open forum. And I
mm,
tell them in the open forum, like when they come in the room, leave your ego at the door. This has nothing to do about your ego. We're not here to hurt
yeah.
anybody's feelings, or we're trying to make the business better. And I could tell you the level of conversations that come from people
Mm,
that sometimes you wouldn't expect to have the answer to. And it's
yeah.
fantastic because it helps build the team. It helps build their own, they feel like they've contributed. I mean, I think it's a great thing to do. Ego is great, but you need
Mm,
sometimes leaders need to check it at the door.
very true. Yeah. And also, like, and martial arts often teaches us to embrace the failure as a stepping stone. So how has failure shaped your own journey? Like, what advice would you give to someone who's afraid to fail?
Yeah, and that's so
Mm,
prevalent. Everyone, I think at
mm,
some level is afraid to fail at something. And
yeah.
when I look at failure, I don't.
Mm,
It may sound cliche,
mm,
but if I walk away from it and I learn something from it, I haven't failed. So I may have failed at that particular attempt,
mm,
and that's what I think is important for people to realize. Failure is not always a negative thing, because sometimes that pushes you towards a different
mm,
path, a path that maybe you'll see more clearly. That failure may make you think about something that you didn't think about before.
yeah.
And that can help you change your mindset and your path and how you approach it. So, I think, I can tell you when I was writing the books, there was
Mm,
it's just human nature, in the back of your mind is kind of noodling
yeah.
back there. Hey, am I going to fail at this? And you know what?
Mm,
I took, you know, the concepts from the books that I was writing about,
mm,
and said, you know, hey, I might fail, but I'll learn something from it. And if I
mm,
do, it's going to make me better as a person, hopefully make me better as an author. And just move forward from that process. It's really how you accept the failure. If you allow the failure to crush you and
mm,
stop your forward momentum, that's not a positive thing. But if
true.
you failed and then you've realized, oh my gosh, I never realized I could go this way, or I could try this, and it helps
Mm,
you, develop your pattern on what you're doing, it could be wonderful.
exactly. Exactly. Lovely. I have to say, lovely. It's really, really lovely. I mean, it's a reminder that falling, failing isn't the problem. It's staying down that holds us back. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Japanese phrase in the
Uh-huh.
martial arts
Okay.
that I took were Japanese based, and there's a saying that they have is
Mm,
seven times down, eight times up.
mm,
And what that means is, you're gonna fail. As long as you get back up, you're winning.
mm. It teaches us the whole life. Yeah. Life story that teaches us. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And so if you could just share three practical tips from the dojo of the mind for someone who is looking to improve their mental wellness, then what would they be?
Well, I think it's critical to point out if someone's having
Okay.
mental, um, emotional challenges and things, it's always
Uh-huh.
really, really important to get professional help if you need it.
Mhm.
Find the counselor, whatever you need. But I think it's very, very important to get professional help if it's to the point that you feel that you need it. But
Mm,
from the dojo of the mind specifically, I think what's really, really three key things is it's really important. It doesn't have to be the martial
mm,
arts. I
mm,
think it's really important to take time. One, take time for yourself. I think a lot of people today forget to take time for themselves. They're so wrapped up into work,
Mm.
family needs, whatever it might be. I think it's really, really critical. And the martial arts kind of force you to do that. I'll
Yeah.
use martial arts as an example. You're going to the karate school or the taekwondo or whatever martial art it happens to be. So you're
Mhm.
you're taking time for yourself away from the world. So
Yeah.
that's really critical, and I think it's very important for mental health. Secondly, when you're in there,
Mhm.
I think what's really important is go with the flow. Allow yourself to be immersed in it.
Mhm.
Actually get out of your own way a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Get in there, and it'll force you because of the environment that you're in to
Yeah.
be mindful about what you're doing. And I think the third thing is enjoy the process.
Mhm.
I think that's really, really important. Sometimes, even with things like when people are trying to do something, let's say, for example, people join a
Mhm.
school or join a gym or start
Yeah.
gardening, and you're doing it specifically because they think they're almost forcing themselves because they think it's going to make them feel better. Well, that
Yeah.
kind of defeats the purpose. So you have to enjoy the experience. Hey, listen, you
Mhm.
may start. Let's say whatever it is, whatever sport it
Mhm.
happens to be,
Mhm.
you may try it, and you could get into it, and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't like this.
Mhm.
And it's not that you don't like the process. You just may not like the
Mhm.
activity.
Yeah.
Try something else. Find something
True.
that meshes with your personality,
Mhm.
with what where you live, the environment that you're in. I think that's really, really important. People put a lot of pressure on themselves. So I think those three things are really important.
Exactly. Exactly. So I would say like those tips are definitely pure gold. It's inspiring to know that anyone, regardless of where they are in life, can take small, meaningful steps towards
Hmm.
a healthier mind and the body. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely correct. Small steps. Sometimes it's a great point. Sometimes
Yeah.
people think they have to get everything done right now. I think that,
True.
and that causes people to have a fear of failure. Take it in small little bites.
Mm,
Even if it's 5 minutes a day to
exactly.
kind of change your mindset and then build off that.
Exactly. Definitely true. Yeah. And so Jane, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and experience with us today. And your journey and the principles you have shared truly illustrates the incredible connection between the mind, body, and the spirit. So, for anyone out there struggling or looking for inspiration, your story is a beacon of hope and the transformation. Yeah.
Thank you
And
very much.
yeah, and then for the listeners, I have to mention that if Gene's Inside resonated with you, then make sure to check out his latest book, The Dojo of the Mind, and trust me, it's a game changer. And uh, don't forget to share this episode with someone who might benefit from these powerful lessons.
Well, thank you. And also the books can be
Mm.
found on Amazon.com.
Mm.
And just if you type in books by Gene Burke, my books will pop up. So I greatly appreciate that.
Perfect, perfect. So, dear listeners, like, please go and check out his books, and I'll also try to add the link into the show notes for all of your references. And so, until next time, take care of your mind, nurture your body, and remember that a healthy mind, healthy life starts with a healthy mind. Definitely. So, this is your host Avik signing off from Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. Stay inspired, and we'll see you soon again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.